game changer in team fight tactics. Sometimes it doesn't show up until the very end of a set, but we've got 2 weeks left. Hopefully we can go and abuse this. It's ninjas. Ninjas are crushing, right? Everyone who puts ninjas together knows that if you can have it in stage 4, it crushes stage 4. It's even good into stage 5, lets you build up your team. It's usually pretty easy to get the 3-star of either one of these characters as you build them up. And if not, you've got enough gold to go find your Samira or your late game composition, but ninjas are absolutely powerful. They have one big problem. They suck until you get 4. Right, so 1 ninja is great, 2 ninjas is bad, 3 ninjas is bad, and 4 ninjas is absolutely terrifying. So, how do we solve this problem? Well, we have the answer. We hope. We think this is it. Alright, and preliminary tests have been great. Everything's looking so good. There's another composition that happens to also use this paradigm of sucking until it's time, right? Until you're good. And as you know, that's fortune. All right. And fortune, we look at the possible windfall that can happen when you take a team that loses and loses and loses until it wins, and when it wins big. Well, fortune ninjas. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. All right. Now, the biggest thing that you're going to look for, if you see an early fortune Tom Kench chosen, or if you see it on Annie, you can pluck that up. It makes things a lot easier. But even without seeing it, all right, a lot of times you want this composition without the chosen because you want to lose. You want to guarantee that losing streak, right? If we go to this table and we look at what starts happening, the loss table starts getting bigger and bigger as you go down, and especially once you start getting to 6 losses, you start getting some serious returns. The very best ones start coming at 7. 8 and 9 is absurd. I would recommend not only not going for 10 because you're probably going to die, but 10 has a good chance of giving you 9 item components, and it can be just a mess to try to sort through everything as you're coming through, right? You could get this right here, and sometimes your bench just fills up, your item slots just don't have room for all this, and you can't make it work in time. So either have a plan for what you're going to do with all the items, right? You could plop in, say, I'm going to make an assassin cannon. I'm going to put um, redemption on Shen, right? You could put guardian angel on one of your items. You could even put titanic resolve on, but you really want to have that solved out before you go. But 7, 8, and 9 is definitely the sweet spot for cashing out of fortune. All right, so we're going to go into how to do that. First off, when you get your composition, this is what a generic comp might look like, all right? Notice that there's no ninjas yet, mostly because one ninja is actually very strong. So an Akali by herself, paired up with a Katarina, might actually win you a fight that you're not trying to win. So sometimes it's better to go like this. You also see that I have Darius and Katarina here over Annie. Of course, if you get one or the other, you can pair it up and put it in. But the reason we have these units here is because you're trying to kill this unit every single time. All right, you want to stack to one side, you want your assassins to jump to the back, and you want to say, I'm threatening to decimate this side of your fight. Now, my low-level champions with no items that aren't very that are tuned towards fortune aren't very strong. You're probably not going to be winning these fights, but you do want to ensure that you get those 1 or 2 kills every single round to make sure that when you're cashing out, you're at 40 hit points instead of 20. Right? You don't want to be cashing out at under 15 HP where you're essentially dead in one unlucky fight or one bad matchup. So this is our level 6 cash out. This could happen on stage 3, 6. When you're looking, you could go faster if you get your fortune early on, and you've already lost 8 rounds going into the stage 3 carousel. You could put this together and try to plop out a win nice and early on stage 6. All right. The thing that's going to benefit us is as we're transitioning from fortune into our ninja build, is that we get to just add ninjas and make our team worse. So as we find a Kali, that's great. Then you can add Zed and your team gets worse, and that's good for you because you're going to look for those loss streaks. This is our most common or our fastest cash out. All right, you might just plop this down and get your win, and you can build from here and even use this team as a catalyst for where you're going to go. Especially level 6, you might hit that Sejuani, and you might be able to play this team on out from here and then build it out later. All right. This was our classic ninja build, right? We'd have the four ninjas, Diana, Yumi give us really good synergies of Mystic and Assassin. Then we get to add an Assassin in, pair up with Slayer. So maybe at level 8 we just add any Slayer, and our Zed gets a little bit better. Or you can just pop in the town that you find at level 8 and make sure that you've got your Assassin synergies online. But here are some of the other things that might come up. And this is the golden point that we really have discovered as the true unlocking potential. All right, when you're level 7 and you have 3 ninjas, the crux of this composition has always been that it's hard to find Shen, right? It's hard to find Shen, but with Fortune, with Assassins, you can definitely make sure that you're getting their first frontliner down and their first backliner down. You can do that with your front line, with Darius in particular, and with your Assassins jumping in the back. But when you're ready to go to 8, all right, this can be at stage 4 too if you're doing well on income, or definitely no later than 4-4. Do not wait later than the stage 4 carousel. If you go 4-4, plop down to 8, thunder all your rolls down, be smashing that D key like it's rolling thunder, make this team. Alright, you will win your round because when you hit ninjas, your team goes through an insane spike, and that's what you need to turn the tides. Alright, but we're assuming we found Sejuani at this point, but if it needs to be Annie or Tom Kench, so be it. It's whatever you get, whatever you need to get. Hopefully by this time you've gotten one of your chosen ninjas, and as we know, the ninja trait cannot be chosen, so you will either get Slayer on Zed, Assassin on Akali, Keeper on Kennen, or Mystic or Adept on Shen. When you come out of this, and we'll say that most commonly we like the Assassin build, but we're going to be flexible. As we go and transition out, we're looking to drop the weaker units and build into our team. So for example, if you get Adept on Shen at level 8, go ahead and find yourself Aurelia and Yone. 4 Adept is the best defensive tool you have in the entire game. It makes their Aurelian Soul in the backline basically never cast his spell. Your team will decimate his entire team, and then he's left to try to 1v8 the rest of your roster, alright? You could also get Slayer on Zed, alright? And then you just need to plop in. You can keep the Darius, keep the Pike. All you need to do is find the Samira, and then you can have Olaf or Tryndamere play for that 6 Slayer composition. What you do want with your ninjas, since it's giving such an insane stat bonus, right? You're looking at 140 attack damage and spell power, which means amongst 4 units, alright, you're getting 560 attack damage and spell power. The best thing to synergize with that is defense and Zeke's Herald. Alright, Zeke's Herald is probably my favorite item for this composition, usually because I'm plopping it on a Kennen and stacking Akali Shen next to him. Alright, making it so that the 3 main ninjas are just going to carry me through that fight. But it's also just so good at synergizing. You're passing around 30% attack speed to 3 different teammates who are getting these massive stat bonuses. They're going to get their spells off more. They're going to be hitting harder. And as we know, with Assassins, those things just escalate and just stack and stack and stack on top of each other. So anyways, again, in recap, here's your endgame builds. You might be Slayer. You might be Adept. You could be Keeper, in which case you just add a Zillion to your team and be done with it. All right. You could just keep the same the static lineup at level 8. You could keep this for a while if you had to roll down especially far and you need some time. One of the good things about rolling down at 4-4 and cashing out is that when you win 4-4, as long as you survive 4-5, which you probably will since you were strong enough to win 4-4, you're probably going to win 4-5, or I suppose they're called 4-5 and 6. Then you have some time. You get to fight the Raptors and organize your thoughts, taking all your cash out, because maybe the hardest thing about playing Fortune is knowing what to do after you get these cash outs. You do want to know what this table looks like. Start knowing, experimenting with what combinations could come up, and start thinking about what combinations you might use. One of the really nice things about the 8 and 9 losses is if you get Brawler's Gloves, they just fit so nicely on whichever Whichever ninja you weren't suiting up, boom, 2 brawlers goes on the other two. That's it. They're wrapped up. You're good. Shen wearing brawler's gloves is insanely strong. He's taunting and then dodging all the attacks that come after, for example. Right? You can put it on the Zed and suddenly he's just this ball of stats that can just rampage through their backline. So again, in summary, you're looking for the early fortune, stacking it on one side of the fight to try to isolate a few units to get the kills. Darius being very important for this. He is the best single unit killer in the game, right? The most lethal front, just one-to-one answer that you can get. He's not very good in the later games as the game goes on, but if you want to isolate a target and get one kill, it's going to be Darius. You might end up with a high roll team where you get the assassins very early. You might get your chosen Akali quite early, and you could have a team like this that is very capable of cashing out and building from here. If you high roll into the Shen, either by getting it in the stage 3 carousel or getting out of a bobble or just one of your first turns on stage 6, then you could even just go straight into this team and skip the fortune. But if you end up with fortune and you start putting those ninjas in play to make your team a little bit worse, to make sure that your loss streak goes into the mid game and to the end of mid game, then at 4-4, this is the team you're trying to build. And this is the discovery. This is where it all comes together. You've got, let's say it's an Akali assassin chosen. You've got your 4 assassins. You've got frontline. You've got peel for your team. You've got damage for the backline. Darius is going to isolate and kill a target. It's so strong. So let me know how it goes. Take it on to the convergence. Share me your stories. Catch you next time. Peace.